Hello all, I'm Sai and you're watching The Book Dragon. In today's video, I'm bringing to you some of these standalone books which I plan to read by the end of 2021. So this is my standalone TBR for the next upcoming year. And I've got quite a few books in this one, but most of these books I don't have a physical copy of, so I'll be dropping the covers here. I have 3 books alone from my shelf which I'll be talking about at the last. So without any further ado, let's get into the video. The first one in the list is Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. Now, there are 3 things about this book which just intrigue me a lot, and it is that it's a contemporary book which is very famous that I've not seen that much of in like 1 or 2 years maybe. And the next one is that it's kind of an alternate reality, that is the same things which happen in our exact world, but it is kind of a utopia setting rather than a dystopia. And the third one is that it's queer. Okay, I usually like contemporary queer stories a lot because we don't get to watch that kind of stories in the media. At least I have not watched or consumed content like that as I grew up, so I'm interested in getting to know certain things like that a lot more. This story actually deals with 2 men, one of whom is the son of the current president of the USA and the other is the Prince of England, and this is kind of a hate to love kind of story. And I've also heard really awesome things about this one. People have not at all said anything bad about this as far as I've known, and also all the people on the book internet whom I have similar tastes with and follow, they have loved this book. Usually what happens is if I start reading certain books like that, I also end up loving them. I don't know how I'm going to end up with this one, but this is one of my very prioritized read for the first half of next year. So let's just see how I like it or not. The next one is Lovely War by Julie Berry. Now this is a historical fiction in which we have certain magical realism elements also. This the idea of this story is just the Greek gods conversing about the love stories that happened during World Wars 1 and 2. I have not at all heard about such a premise at all. I have seen slight bits of romance put into historical fiction. I have not read that much historical fiction as well. But I'm very much interested to get into this one because the concept seems very much appealing to me, because gods talking about human beings falling in love, that too during very hard times of the world like World War 1 and World War 2. Mostly historical fictions just are fixed or based on World War 2 alone, because it's kind of a huger kind of a war, and that's one of the things which just made us think about whether we want these huge wars anymore or not. But this one focuses on the World War 1 as well, which I'm very much interested to read. I think I will read I like this one. It is a bit expensive to buy as a physical copy, and it's not available as audio also in my subscription. Let's just wait and see when I end up reading this. The next one is Salt to the Sea by Ruta Sepetys. Ruta Sepetys is an author who writes historical fiction stories alone, and especially based on the atrocities that happened during the time of World War II. Some of her novels which are very famous are, this is the most famous one, which is Salt to the Sea. Other than this, she also has various other books, some of which are Between Shades of Grey, and another one which is her latest release which came out in 2020 is The Fountains of Silence. I was trying to buy The Fountains of Silence and read it, but it's kind of a bigger book compared to Salt to the Sea. So since this is an author who's very new to me, I want to try starting with a small book. Also, since the author is so famous when it comes to the genre in which she writes, I want to try kind of her earlier works and then move on to her latest works, because as far as I see, famous authors usually grow in a really good way when it comes to being writers. Okay, one of the best examples I can say is Cassandra Clare, because I started with her first book and I just moved on with the series, and I could easily see the growth of her as an author, how she tells stories. I want to experience certain things like that when I begin to read new authors. So I'm going to start with Salt to the Sea by Ruta Sepetys. The next one is another historical fiction, and it is All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doer. Now this is also one of those very famous books within the genre of historical fiction, because I've seen many people have been finished reading this, and they have all said really good things about this. I've heard only very few amount of people talking not that great things about this one, because it is about 2 children during the time of World War II again, but the different thing about these 2 children is that one of these children is visually challenged, and I'm not sure about the other one. I think the other one can't speak. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about what the other character experiences in the story, or what they represent in the story. But this one itself is a really, how to say, a great thing to be put into a situation like World War II, right? Because that time itself is a really horrible time. Showing that world from the point of view of a physically challenged person, it's a really tough thing to, how to say, execute. I'm very much interested in to see how the author has handled that, and also I've heard that this is a sad story, but it is very satisfying towards the end. So I just want to read this. The next two books are fantasy books by the same author, and they are The Night Circus and The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. I've been wanting to read The Night Circus for a very long time, guys. I can't stress it enough because I've been wanting to read that for that long. And also the Starless Sea came out this year. I don't think the Starless Sea was, how to say, that well received as the Night Circus, but I've heard awesome things about the Night Circus. Okay, I think as a fantasy reader, as a person who likes books from the fantasy genre a lot more compared to other genres, I will enjoy the Night Circus because I've heard that it is very atmospheric. Okay, one of the main things which I expect to read from a good fantasy book that will suit me and my reading taste is the atmosphere and the world building, because even if the plot and the characters are not that great, if the world is awesome and if I can just feel the world around me while I'm reading the book, I don't care at all. Okay, I don't care what the hell happens with the plot or what if the characters survive or die. I don't care at all. If it just gives me that experience, I just love reading such kind of books, and I've heard that The Night Circus is one such book. And also the Starless Sea, I think it's a book very specific for readers and book lovers because it totally happens within an alternate universe within a library or something. I don't know something about anything specific about that, but I'm very much interested to get into these two because finding standalone books in fantasy is really tough, because most of the fantasy books that are out there are either part of a series or they don't exist at all. There are very few books which are good as well as standalones when it comes to fantasy, so I just want to try these two. While we are in fantasy, another book which I want to read in 2021 is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. This book launched in last year, 2019, and I and my brother, we went out on Christmas, on the day of Christmas last year, and I just found this book. It was huge, it was huge and paperback and it was floppy. I just wanted to buy it, but I didn't buy it because just like a week before that, I went for a book sale and I just bought like 40 or 45 books. So if I had bought that, I would have felt really guilty, so I didn't buy it then. But I'm very much interested in getting into this because it's a standalone fantasy. Also, it is huge. I just love feeling huge, big, thick fantasy books on my hands while I read them, because it's just a really fulfilling feeling. This book is about a queendom, not a kingdom. It's about a queendom in which there are two different parts of the world, in which there are two different types of dragons. I've only heard about dragons that breathe fire, but I've not at all heard about water dragons. And water dragons are one of the main type of things or type of dragons in this world. There are just two types of dragons, the fire dragons and the water dragons, and I'm very much intrigued to just hearing about the concept of having water dragons, and I just for that itself I want to read this book. And it is huge. It'll take quite a bit of time to read, but I definitely want to read this in 2021. The next one is another very famous book, and it is Circe by Madeline Miller. It is a mythological fiction book telling the story of Circe, who's, I think, a daughter of some of the Greek gods. I don't know the Greek mythology, sorry for saying that, because I just want to read this book. One of the main things which I have heard a lot about Circe is that it represents feminism in a really positive and correct way, in an objectively correct way. When it comes to being subjective, things are different for everyone, right? But I've heard that objectively this book is really good. Also, while reading the Song of Achilles, which I didn't finish at all because every time I started picking up that book, I just didn't have that mood to get into it. But I loved the writing of Madeline Miller a lot, because she just has this very nice silky flow to her writing. The way in which she just describes stuff and moves on with the story and makes us as readers move on with the story. I just loved that aspect of her writing, and I'm very much interested to see that kind of writing in Circe, because I've heard that the Song of Achilles is good and Circe is like way better than the Song of Achilles. I did like the writing in that book itself, and I'm sure that I will like this also. Let's just wait and see when I'm going to read this. Next one is another historical fiction, and it is The Nightingale by Kristin Hannah. This is another historical fiction set during the time of World War II, in which we have to deal with the life of two sisters. Okay, so it is a story told from 2 points of view, who are both women but very different from each other, yet they are very closely related as they are siblings, that is sisters. And I've also heard that this is a book which is really tough to get through because of the, how to say, strong content that it has when it comes to depicting certain things that happened during that period of the world history, that is the World War II. And I just like reading certain complex things that are put into characters and how they deal with it, especially during old times, because things weren't that modern, right? And all the people in general were not that open-minded as we are right now in the current world. And I just want to see how we have evolved as a population. And the story of two sisters is something which always, siblings is something which I just love reading about always, and that's one of the main reasons why I want to read this. Next one is The Palace of Illusions by Chithra Bannerjee Diwakaruni. This is an Indian mythological retelling in which we see the story of Mahabharat from the point of view of Draupadi. Okay, there are like multiple facets from which Draupadi is viewed, and I think this book mostly focuses on who Draupadi is, and I've heard really awesome things about this one, that this is one of the best Indian mythological fictions out there. I've read only a very few amount of mythological fiction books when it comes to any nationality, either Indian or foreign, and this is one of those books which I've been wanting to read for a very long time. I also found that it is available in Storytel. That's a really great thing, okay, because I've not at all seen many Indian books available in Storytel as audiobooks, and this is one such gem, if you ask me, that I have found out, and I want to read this as soon as I can in 2021, and I'm going to try and make an effort to try and read this as early as possible, and I'll try to review this once I end up reading it. The next one is contemporary, and it is History is All You Left Me by Adam Silvera. I have read two Adam Silvera books before, 2 or 3, I don't remember properly, but of those they both die at the end. It is like one of my all-time favorite books because it was so awesome to read. Okay, the things that he executed and explored within that 300 or 350 page book, they are like so massive, so good, so awesome in many ways. Okay, one thing which is legitimate when it comes to Adam Silvera books is that they are books which are representation of queer people in every way, and also that all of them are sad always, because there are many books which do tell happy as well as sad stories when it comes to dealing with the LGBTQ population, but he is a person who just focuses on the struggles that this population faces, because the author himself is gay, and he just puts most of his life experiences into his books, and that's what gives that raw voice for the characters that he writes. I just liked it a lot in both of his previous books which I have read, and I'm very much interested to pick this one. Also, I've heard that this is a really sad book, even more than They Both Die at the End. I've heard that this one is more sad, and that's one of the main reasons why I want to read it, because when I finish reading a sad book and when I start loving it, it just makes me happy. It's such a contradictory thing to say. Sad books just make me feel happy, and that's one of the experiences that I want to have very soon in 2021, and I think this book will do it for me. The next one is another fantasy, and it is Uprooted by Naomi Novik. Now this is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, but it is also set up in a Russian-inspired setting. So the atmosphere or the world in this book is definitely cold and it is gruesome. And I also heard that the dynamic, that is the romance that is shown in this book, is not that healthy, but I've heard that many people like it being that way. One of the main reasons why I want to read this book is that, as I've said before, one of the main things which just wants me to read more fantasy is the world and the atmosphere and the world building that the author does when it comes to writing a fantasy book. And that's one of the main reasons why I like the genre also, because when I start reading fantasy, it doesn't feel like I am in this world. Okay, it just feels like I'm in another world and I'm just rooted here in some way or the other. It just gives that fantastical feel to me, and it's just a really great escape for me personally. there might be different genres that are escapes for different people, but fantasy is a genre of escape for me, and I just love the genre for that itself. And I've heard pretty good things when it comes to the world building and the setup and the atmosphere of this book, and that's one of the main reasons why I want to read this one. Finally, moving on to the 3 physical books which I actually own in my shelf. The first one is Into the Water by Paula Hawkins. Now, this is the author of The Girl on the Train, which is a very famous psychological thriller book if you didn't know. This is another psychological thriller standalone by the author, and I've been wanting to read this book for almost a year now, because I bought this one also last year during the Lock the Box sale, and it has been sitting on my shelf. It is in a pristine condition, okay? There are not any dents, nothing at all. And I've heard that this one is also equally as good as The Girl on the Train, but it has been very much overshadowed because of the bad movie that the book got, and also the mixed opinions of people on The Girl on the Train, I personally liked that book. It was a 4-star read for me. It was not excellent, but I just liked it, like the experience of reading it, and that's one of the main reasons why I picked this up. And this story actually deals with the life of a lady named Nell Abbott, who jumps into a lake and commits suicide. But after that, her sister has doubts whether if she committed suicide or not, because Nell is a person who's very much afraid of water, and one of the things that she'd never do was jump into a lake and live her life in that specific way. And I think I like the way in which she handled the things that go on inside a person's head when it comes to situations like this one, and I just like the way she handled it, and I'm hoping to see the same from her in this one also. Let's just wait and see whether I like it or not. The next one is The Kingdom of Pack by Marie Lu. This is one book which I bought for myself for my birthday, and it has taken every ounce of my effort to not pick this book up right now during the end of the year, because I want to save it up for next year, and I also have many other books which are old in my shelf sitting for so long that I want to read. So yeah, this is there in my list for sure. I want to read this in 2021, and I want to read it sooner than later, and I think I will like it because I've read only one other book by Marie Lu, which is Batman Nightwalker, which is part of the DC Icon series, and of the 3 books that I've read in that series, Batman is my most favorite book. I just loved the pacing that Marie Lu gave to that story, but I don't think this is that kind of story, because it is magical realism, which is also tied in with historical fiction as well. I've been putting so many historical fictions in this list, I didn't notice it until now, but this magical realism rather than historical fiction, and it deals with the story of Mozart. I don't know Mozart's story, okay? I just know that he's a really huge name in the music world. I don't know anything about the history of the music world, so sorry for that. I want to look into it before getting into this one. It deals with the story of Mozart and his sister, who were just dragged along different places in order to make money using their music and to make a living out of it. They were really good in that ways, but I've also heard that the sister was overshadowed by Mozart because of the misogyny during that time. Not because of him, just because of the fact that she was a woman and he was a man. And I'm very much interested to pick this one up. It was also one of my favorite booktubers' favorite books of the year, and I want to read this for that reason itself. The last one in this list is On Beauty by Zadie Smith. I said in one video that this is one of those books which I need to read by the end of 2020, but I definitely didn't pick this up, and I don't want to rush through this as well. It is a literary fiction dealing with the story of 2 families and the things that happen between these 2 families, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And of course, I do like reading family stories and sibling stories rather than anything else put into any backdrop. Let it be any genre, classics, fantasy, contemporary, thrillers, anything. If there's a good family dynamic that is going on within a story, I just eat it up, because that is one of those things which just appeals to me a lot. Sibling relationships and family relationships rather than friendships and romance are very much important for me personally, and I just love reading that being represented in different genres by different authors, and that's one of the main reasons why I like the Shadowhunter Chronicles, because it deals a lot to do with the family and the sibling relationships rather than just the friendship and the romance, which is more concentrated in the YA books, if you ask me. I don't say that it's not necessary, I'm just saying that it is needed, but also the family dynamics also need to be explored within YA books, because most of us do grow up with the support of some family, and I think that needs to be represented when it comes to reading books, and I just like books which represent them in a good way. This is one of those books which have represented it, and it is also a Man Booker Prize winner, so I want to read this for sure. I read 2 Man Booker Prize winners this year. One of those which I liked, the other I didn't like that much. So I'm expecting to read and like this one also. Let's just wait and see. Okay guys, those were all the standalone books which I need to read or plan to read by the end of 2021. Also, let me know down in the comments what are the standalone books that you want to read in 2021. Let's just see if we have any books in common. And that's it for today. If you did find this video enjoyable, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it to your friends. If you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel because I publish new videos every Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.